We are from the Philippines and my mom is extremely religious. I am a closeted atheist since I was about 13. My mom had quite a toughish life due to, mostly, her bad decisions like not being good with money, refusing every good opportunity that came her way because she believed in signs from God. For example, someone offered her a substantial amount of money for something she wasn't selling. She prayed and asked God, if this is a bad decision, let person X come by my house this week, but person X comes by our house 2 or 3 times a week. Well, I told her it's a very good decision to sell, since person X comes by anyway. She follows her sign. She's a single mom, and I am her only child. So I always dreamt of giving her a good life. I learned to not follow her mistakes, and I suppose this is why I became an atheist. I worked extremely hard because I wanted a different life from that of my mom. 25 years later, I became quite successful. Bought her a house, a car, and an allowance each month. She never once thanked me. Instead, she thanked God. I ignored this at first, but then she got quite extreme. I mentioned to her that I did work pretty hard to get here, and she says things like, this is God's reward to me, all those years of following him. I deserve or earned this, and it was through my prayers and faith that he listened and gave you the strength to push through. If you think this was purely because of you, you are sorely mistaken. I am going to Australia for a holiday. I wanted to take her, and she said something like, praise be to him. He loves me so much, he knew I deserved to have a vacation. I don't know why, but it rubbed me the wrong way and told her never mind, I'm going alone. She's upset, asked why, and I said that I am so sick and tired of hearing her praise I'm being for my hard work and love. She said I am being ungrateful and delusional if I think my success was because of just me working hard. Not the idiot. It must be so incredibly hurtful to try so hard to love and support your mother only for her to dismiss you and your hard work. It sounds like you have done everything you could to find her approval and love without the reciprocity you needed. I'd tell her I guess if you're meant to travel, your God's going to have to find another way because I am tired of providing you with opportunities you don't appreciate. It's absolutely okay to stop freely giving support to someone who feels entitled to your labor without appreciating your efforts. Not the idiot, you've worked hard for that, and truly, as an atheist myself, no one other than you are responsible for earning that money. Your mom sounds like she's drank the Kool-Aid and has become a sort of type of person who's likely to push their religion on anyone they meet. You deserve a break from that and should take a trip by yourself and from your mom. Reflect on things and have a great time doing it without having to get annoyed by your mom. Not the idiot. I'm religious myself, but that attitude of hers isn't fair to you. If she believes in a higher being, that's on her. But to outright ignore the human being physically handing you the gifts you are receiving, that's just so incredibly rude. For the future, OP. I'd avoid her a bit. Or give her a lot more space, unless you want to spend your life resenting her. Religion is a fine thing, but there is such a thing as forgetting to appreciate the people around you. I recently took my 3 kids to a children's museum. It is a 3-story building filled with tons of activities for kids of all ages and a great way to let your kids explore freely. 3rd floor is solely an art exhibit. 2nd floor is a music center, innovation or building center, and a water center. Intended for older kids 5+. 1st floor is a mini city. This is where we spend most of our time. The older 2, 6 and 4, run off to play as I make my way to the toddler area. This is a small gated space intended for children 3 and younger to play without being trampled on or getting in the way of older kids. They have a wooden fence built around the play area that is waist high and a gate that is intended as the entrance so parents can enter and sit with their toddlers. Since I have a child who is not quite 2, this is the perfect place for him to play. When I get to the toddler area, I see a child who looks about 10 and is playing with the styrofoam blocks. Her parents are blocking the entrance, and when the girl sees us, she closes the gate so we can't enter. Since the gate and surrounding fence are only waist height, it's not difficult for me to pick up my son and place him gently over it and let him play. She scowls at my son and tries to keep all the blocks to herself. I call my son's name and say look at the pretty flowers, attracting his attention to them instead of the blocks. The girl quickly moves over to the flowers and tries to keep him from playing. Now I'm irritated. My first thought is that this child might be special needs and wants to play in an area less chaotic, totally fine. But her behavior is uncalled for. I ask her kindly if my son may play with her, and she shouts no. I'm taken back and look at her parents for a little support. Nothing but blank stares from them. Well, this is a designated area for toddlers, and I then say to her parents my son has a right to play here, whether she wants him to or not. The girl stands up and kicks the blocks that she had been playing with, and one hits my son. The parents give me nasty looks as they open the gate and walk off with their daughter. I'm livid. I call after them and say the least you can do is apologize on her behalf. She is absolutely out of control and should not be around other children if she can't play nicely and share. They call me an idiot and leave the area. My son is not fazed by any of this and is now stacking the blocks playing happily. I felt justified at first, but now I'm wondering if I overreacted. My son could have played in the other areas, it just meant more work for me, chasing him and making sure he didn't get trampled by other kids. I'm wondering if I am the idiot for making a big deal over this. No idiots here. I'm inclined to think the other parents are. But my fiancé would remind me, if she were here, that a lot of kids have developmental issues, such as her brother. He's 12 but emotionally and mentally he's 4, and you can't necessarily tell or see. So their kid might not be great for that area in general, or having a bad day, or they just lost their personal aid for their child and they're struggling to keep up with the changes that go into losing a specialist who helps your child function as a child. Not the idiot, this feels like a validation post. You think you're the idiot for calling out crappy parents on their child's behavior. Especially when she could have injured your son. Please. I would have blocked them from getting out and called an employee to come over to hopefully ban them from the toddler area or place in general. I cannot believe they didn't stop her from being a selfish brat at a place where, 1, it's public, and 2, you might have had to pay to get into. Don't joke with Mama Bear. Not the idiot. Some may disagree with me, but I think that even if a child has special needs, there comes a point where they are simply too big to play in the toddler area due to size and strength. I have a 1 and 3-year-old, and I would be quite upset if my small children were hurt by an older child when they were in an area specifically designated for their size. Personally, I would have asked a staff member to speak with them because the 10-year-old does not being in the toddler area. I'm 48, girlfriend is 44, her daughter is 21, my sons are 23 and 25, but they're mostly irrelevant to this post. I've been dating girlfriend for 6 years. Years ago I bought both of my sons' homes. I told them both the same budget, go find a house you like and let me see it and I'll buy it for you. It was college graduation gift sort of. I promised the same to my stepdaughter, graduate college, get a home wherever you want with a $200,000 budget. I firmly believe you can't get far in life with the current apartment rental rates, so this takes a major load off of shoulders. Well, she graduated this past April and my girlfriend is bugging me to get the ball into motion on getting her a house. The thing is that, when I made that promise years ago, I assumed we'd be married by now. I want to get married, but she doesn't want to. I told her I don't feel comfortable buying a house for someone not officially in the family, if that makes sense. Now the promise is if we get married, she can have a house, but I did make a compromise. I could buy her a house, but it remains in my name. My fear is I buy a house for someone, my girlfriend and I don't work out and split, then I've basically bought a house for a stranger. Am I being an idiot here? If it makes a difference, my girlfriend is a stay-at-home mother, stepdaughter lives with us. Stepdaughter works in a hospital right now, but it's relatively far, city over, 40-minute drive. I'm retired but have large savings, so I'm the only one with the money to make it happen. Not the idiot. Completely sound thinking. What's her excuse for not getting married? Don't have a party, sign the papers, don't need to let anyone know, don't even need to wear a ring. If she doesn't want to get married and still constantly nagging about getting a house for the daughter, I'd be concerned. Under your name will be fine, but see what they intend to do with it and check legal loopholes that they can't later dispute, like, since they live there and did the renovations and paid the bills they have rights to the house, etc. Not the idiot. This isn't a straight he made promise, he breaks promise, man is bad, like half these answers. You're trying to do good on your promise while making sure the mother isn't explicitly staying with you to get the house then dip. I think you need to talk to the mom about your relationship and work it out. In the meantime, buy her the house, keep it in your name. Once you feel like it's settled between you two, you can transfer ownership or whatever to stepdaughter if you want. No idiots here. It was a verbal offer based on certain assumptions that haven't played out. It's not legally or otherwise enforceable. Think about whether it makes sense to put conditions on this money. In effect, you're pressuring your girlfriend to marry you, and would you want someone to marry you so their child can get a down payment? The other alternatives, you own the house, etc., would be hard to enforce if the relationship with your stepdaughter goes south, whether you remain together with her mom or not. I, 24, had this stranger, 16, trying to add me onto Facebook 4 months ago. I sent her a message asking if I knew her. She gets rather aggressive quickly, to which I respond that, since I don't know her, I'm going to decline her. She went straight into saying that if I don't add her, I shouldn't have Facebook, and questioned why I got famous people as friends, and started calling me names. I simply reply with the fact that I've seen the band, I've met the members and spoken quite a lot with the singer. And it's my choice who I befriend on Facebook. She rages and then blocks me. Fast forward to the 25th this month. 4 months after this whole thing happened. She leaves a comment on my profile pic, letting me know I'm disgusting, a coward, and other names that I simply don't know how to translate to English, and lets me know that she hasn't forgotten about me and is still angry. I got all the screenshots of the convo and her comment and sends them to her mother, along with notifying her that I won't hesitate to consult the police if it continues. And I post a screenshot of her comment on Facebook asking for help. I head on and call the police to consult the situation, which we both said is odd. They think I've done a good job saving everything and sending it to the mum. They ask me if I want to file a report for harassment, I decline. They ask me to let her know that I don't want any contact with her, so I did. I woke up yesterday, 26th, to 10 notifications from her, and her mum responds that she wants to call me, so we call. This wasn't the first time she's done something like this, and this is why all of her friends are online. And she has both autism and attention deficit, and she explains that due to that, she becomes really emotional and so on. I screenshot all of her comments, delete them and then block her. She wrote that she would seek up my address and come and find me. Another said that the police won't do anything and that her mum won't tell her off. I called the police again to consult, as they instructed me to do if something else happened. I file a police report in hope to gain a restraining order, since she will be going to the same convention as me in July, and since I will be working in their healthcare group, I'll be very easy to find. And finding my address is an easy thing to do, due to my not so common last name, and all of that info is public in Sweden. Not the idiot. People with autism and attention deficit can still be held liable for their actions. Unless this girl has severe autism, she can learn what makes other people uncomfortable and not do it. From your story, it sounds like her mom doesn't discipline her, and the girl uses that as her excuse to be an idiot. You're creating a paper trail that will only help if things escalate. You tried the easier option of contacting her mom, but it didn't work. Even if you didn't have post-traumatic stress disorder, no one could fault you for looking out for your safety. Not the idiot. I feel like there is a lot of information missing here, or this story is skewed. How did she leave a comment on your Facebook page if she wasn't your friend and you blocked her? Why didn't you just ignore her or re-block her after the initial comment stream from her? I see no reason for phoning the cops either, truthfully. So she made rude comments on your page, so what? Now if she was throwing around your actual address and telling you things involving that, then yes, then you get the cops involved. Not the idiot. She is considered strafmyndig from 15 and is well old enough to know better. You've done everything by the book and you're absolutely not overreacting. It is more likely that she gets the help she needs when her actions have consequences. The police is there to facilitate that. 100% let the people you work with at the convention know so they can keep tabs on you. If it's the one I think it is, they are super geared towards making their guests and volunteers feel and be as safe as humanly possible. My older brother is on the autism spectrum. He's functioning to where he can have a job, janitor, hang out with friends, etc., but he cannot live alone for several reasons. Growing up, my parents always told me that I would be the one to take care of him when the time came and that he would have to live with me. I was never expected to help much when we were kids when it came to the disorder, but it was just what they wanted me to do when both of them passed on. My mom has never wanted him living in a home. As I got older, I started bringing up the idea of assisted living to her and she got upset. She says no one will take care of him in the same way she does. I sort of just let it go because I know it's a sensitive issue. My dad, I know, was either way about it but tended to side with my mom and say that family takes care of family. My father passed away a few years back, not long after I married my wife. My mother isn't sick at the moment, but the time will come at some point where I will be responsible, and it's in the will that when she dies, I am the person responsible for my brother since he cannot make choices for himself. I admitted to my wife that I don't want my brother living with us. I love my brother, don't get me wrong. I just do not want to be responsible for him, and I think he will thrive living in an assisted living facility. He already attends activities at one and he loves it. My wife has basically said, it's up to me because he's my brother. I've spoken to him about it and he says that he doesn't care where he lives, so long as he can keep his routine. I promised him that we'd, my wife, the kids and myself, visit him and he could come to us, he could still keep his job, which is the most important thing to him, he could do even more activities there, etc. My mom is upset with me that this is what I want to do. I told her that ultimately, it will be my choice as his guardian, unless she wanted to change that. We have other family, but no one else that would take him on full time. She said that this was the last thing she ever wanted, but I pointed out that she never asked me what I did either. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. As someone who works in this field, if you find an assisted living that he likes and enjoys, he will thrive so much more there. He will have access to activities, he will make friends, maybe even date if he wants to. Whereas at your house he will essentially be locked in as a child, by no fault of your own, it's just sort of what happens in those situations. Not always, but I've seen it. As long as you stay involved to make sure he's happy, and he can to an extent advocate for himself, he may actually prefer some level of independence. Not the idiot. My middle son has severe autism and lives in a group home. His sister lives about a mile away and will visit, but we never wanted her to be responsible for her brother for guardianship. If something happens to my husband and me, who are his legal guardians, then aunts on both sides of the family will get guardianship before his sister. Only because she needs to be able to live her own life first and foremost. If she changes her mind in the future, that's up to her. Absolutely not the idiot. I'm in the same situation in the way that I have an autistic brother like you do, can kind of support himself, but he wouldn't be able to live on his own. If I would have to take care of him when my parents pass, I don't think I could take it. You are just as deserving of living your life to the fullest as he does. You are not responsible for your brother. Also, people who work in assisted living made a career out of caring for people like your brother.